positive.
Hey, what's up, everybody? One Coach's Opinion. And it's just my opinion, not a fact. Now, I'm about to drop some, I won't say knowledge, but I will say I'll drop some understanding. So, think about it like this. As a coach, the best coaches to me find ways to teach what they're teaching differently. And I say that because people learn differently. So you have to kind of, you can't alter the way you train. Or to be honest, if you find a coach that you really can't understand what he's trying to teach, you need to find a coach that can break it down to you so you understand it. So I'm gonna drop a gem this morning, and you can take advantage of it. You can say, I knew that, but truthfully, if you examine what I'm saying to you, take a look for yourself, you'll find that I'm telling the truth. And if most people were taught and believed the same thing that I'm about to tell you, you wouldn't be observing it yourself. You wouldn't be able to prove it. So first, take a look around and see how most fighters move. 95% of the time, the average fighter that hits a bag goes the same direction. Most fighters. And I ain't talking about you're going to your right, you're going, and every now and then you hop to your left. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you watch the majority of their work, the majority of their work is bought behind turning, pivoting. If you're a southpaw, you normally pivot out to your right and you try to work your jab and your hook and turn people into your left hand. But it forces your back foot to pivot towards the right of you. So your left foot pivots toward the right and your back foot, okay, if you understand what I'm saying. So you turn in this way. When you turn this way, that left foot goes that way to my right. Okay, so just putting it like that. So watch how they circle the bag. Watch how they hit the bag. Watch how they shadow box. 90% of the time or more, maybe 99 with some guys, maybe 100 with some guys, they learn to go the direction of their lead hand. So if they're a southpaw, they circle the bag to their right. They circle the bag to their right. They circle the bag to their right. Conventional fighters, they circle the bag to their left. Bop, bop, they hook, they turn on a hook, bop, 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 bop. That's why phrases like cut the ring off and stuff became popular, because people knew, but they never really taught this, but they knew that this guy is more comfortable pivoting out to his left, cut the ring off and try to force him to his right. So that's what cut the ring off is. And it only works because a lot of people don't practice going the opposite way. So that's why usually when people say, oh man, I don't like fighting southpaws, and southpaws are different, man, they do this, they lead with their right hand. Okay, in saying all this, what does that create? If a southpaw, I always said this, if a southpaw, 9 times out of 10, if a southpaw and a conventional fighter are fighting, whoever can get outside of that jab has the best chance of winning this fight. So if I'm a southpaw and the conventional fighter keeps getting outside of my jab, he has a better chance of winning this fight because he's putting himself in better position. Not because he's definitely getting outside my jab, but because what that does, that jab, when he gets outside my jab, it forces my pivot foot to pivot left. And most people don't practice circling a bag to their power side. Watch them. Watch them if you don't believe. And you're going to find something to do. You're going to start saying, man, Fox was wrong, blah, blah, he does it. I said most. Look at the whole gym. Compare that gym to the whole world and you'll get the same percentage, I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Every gym I've gone to, every class I've taught, everything, the majority of people move the direction of their lead hand. That's why people say, cut the ring off, cut the ring off. Some guys don't know what to do because they don't know how to go move that way. That's why that works. And I say this because, like, you know, most people might say, man, you ain't teaching nothing new. That ain't blah, blah, blah. It's not teaching anything new. And I didn't feel I was teaching anything new. What I felt was I was teaching something. Oh, let me say something. Wait a minute. Let me get this big rig out of here. So I never felt I was teaching anything new. I feel I'm just going more into depth and explaining it. And if a fighter really understands why they do something, they're more in tune to practicing it, and they'll do it more because they understand how it works. The same is, why don't you skip the multiplication when it comes to math? I mean, if all you got to know really that 9 times 9 equals 81, you really know math. But do you understand math? Do you really understand what 81 is? That's where addition comes in. That's where 3 apples plus 5 apples equals 7. No, I'm just playing. 8 apples. But that's where, just break it down, counting, they understand, okay, the value of 3. You're teaching them the value. You teach the value of numbers before you teach addition, subtraction, or any of that. Because you got to tell them what a 5 is. Not just the word 5. What does 5 represent? 5 represents 5 apples. You know what I'm saying? And when a kid kind of understands that part, then you can move the multiplication and skip the stuff. But if you just say, when you fight a southpaw, throw your lead right hand, and that's all you're yelling because you've been taught, throw my lead right hand, that's just comes from people teaching. Man, sorry about that. It's unsafe. Like, man, it's so unsafe driving. That just comes from people teaching what they've been taught and just repeating what they've been taught. But if you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, it's going to be a long road for you. It's going to be a long road for you. You're trying to control which way that foot pivots because that guy is comfortable. Like I said, pay attention next time. Look at the gym. If you see this video and nobody else in your gym sees this video, and you just pay attention, because a lot of people should start working on that. Pay attention to the gym. See if I'm right. See how many times people, while hitting the bag, move towards the jab side, because that's how they were trained. That's how they were taught to move. That's how they were taught to go ahead. And that's why guys are like, man, I don't like fighting southpaws, or man, I need a southpaw here to train them. If you really understand why a southpaw is hard to fight, it's only because his main goal is to make you pivot your foot to your power side. His main goal is to get outside of your jab and force you to move to your right. And you don't move to your right, and you don't practice moving to your right that much. And when you do practice moving to your right, anybody that says they do, I guarantee you it's maybe like an 80-20%. It's not a 50-50. So when I teach boxing, I use the sticks. I don't really use paddles. I use the sticks. So I usually use 2 different colored sticks for a reason. And I've been trying to get this to a reason, and I'm wondering why so many of my guys are still standing face to face with a guy when I'm trying to explain to you, you have to make a dude adjust his pivot foot. When you make a dude, I've always said the first thing you learn in boxing is your stance. When you can confuse a guy's stance, then the battle's halfway won. Because now he's off balance because he doesn't know whether or not you can go. But majority of times, that's why two conventional fighters fight. They both go the same way. This guy moves to his left, that guy moves to his left. This guy, it's just a matter of hand speed and hands now. The feet have been taken away. I'm moving the way I like to move, you're moving the way you like to move. But as a conventional fighter, if you learn to move to your right, it's almost like him fighting a southpaw because he'll have to pivot the opposite way. If you can challenge him, move to your right and fight moving to your right, it's going to make him move the opposite way. It's going to make him move to his right. And if he doesn't practice that, he's going to be uncomfortable. That's why I have these two sticks. And this might be black, this one might be silver. I'm like, challenge the black. And I make them move a certain way, and I throw the punches that will come from that hand. So their defense gets stronger as they move to this direction. Challenge the silver. I want your defense to get stronger as you move this direction. I want you to be able to block, slip, get outside this direction. Then step this way, do that. If you can do both, you become a dynamic fighter. There's few people that have a balanced switch that I've ever seen fight. I mean, that don't mean you can say, nah, what's the name? He could fight southpaw, he could fight this. I didn't say, I said a balance. That means they're almost equal each side. And one of them will be Marvin Hagler. Nobody really, to me, could tell which stance Marvin Hagler was better at. Marvin Hagler could beat you down from either stance, either way. He might have been trained inappropriate, or he might have been trained like by a master that people just thought was inappropriate because he just kept switching. But he could just switch his stance in his shoulder and turn into a southpaw or conventional fighter like it wasn't nothing. And sure, if you really study him, you probably could tell, yeah, man, he was way better this side, he was way better than that side. But the bottom line is, who cares which one he was better at? The bottom line is, if he was 60% better as a conventional fighter and 40% better as a southpaw fighter, that's almost a good balance. That's way better than the majority of fighters out here. You have fighters like Terrence Crawford, he can switch, but you can tell which stance he's better at if you haven't figured it out yet. You can tell where his go-to stance is. And 90% of the time when he fights in his other stance just to get you to establish your rhythm, and then he switches up on you and messes the average guy up because now their rhythm is messed up. Not to mention, when he switches to southpaw, he fights with a lot of conventional fighters, and it makes them turn the opposite way, and which proves the theory I'm proving that I'm trying to say. I think he's way better, stronger southpaw than he is a conventional fighter. And when he really digs down, he turns southpaw, in my opinion. But it ain't about him. It's about knowing why you're trying to get a guy to fight off angles and fight this way or fight that way. But next time you're in the gym, just pay attention. Pay attention to the shadow boxing. Pay attention to the bag work. Shadow boxing and bag work are supposed to create habits. The word habit doesn't mean it has to be bad. It's just a habit. If you got a habit of counterpunching, it's a great habit to have. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. Those create habits. So if a guy shadow boxes a certain way, he most likely fights that way. He fights at that pace. If you watch a guy shadow box, you could find out how many punches he throws at a time, how many punches. And sometimes, guess what? He might shadow box, throwing good 3 pieces and 2 pieces and pivoting out. And then when he spars, all that goes down the drain. He just throws anything. That's a confused fighter. You shadow box, you hit the bags, then you take it to sparring, then you take it to the fight. That's the steps of boxing. You practice form shadow boxing. You practice your delivery on the bags. That's where you can make all your mistakes and try to learn. You go in there sparring and you try to erase most of your mistakes. So when you get to the fight, you're at your sharpest. But know what you're training for, know what you're trying to do, and understand what you're trying to do. So basically I'm saying, I'll break it down before I go. Look which way people go. The average people go the way of their lead hand. If you can make them do the opposite, you won the bout. And sometimes coaches are already teaching this. Don't get it wrong. They're just not breaking it down, the importance of it, but they're teaching this. When the guys like move to your left, when they do that circle drill the kids do, switch, they're trying to get them. But the reason why it doesn't work for a lot of people because they let the kids gallop. They let them gallop in a circle, in a stance that they'll never fight in. So you're teaching them how to go side to side and elude punches, but you're not teaching them how to counter punch because they're not in any stance. They're galloping side to side. Their feet are right beside each other, galloping side to side. Switch. Okay, I can go this way like this. I can go this way like this. But can you go this way in a stance? Make them do that same drill in a stance. That's when you're really showing them something. Like a lot of people just teaching these drills, but you're not going behind. You're not telling what the jab is supposed to do. You're just teaching them how to jab, now throw your right hand. Teach them the science behind the jab. Teach them the science behind your power hand. Teach them why you should fight with your lead hand as not your dominant hand, because you're trying to set up your power. And if you put your power hand in the front, you're going to drain your power hand, and you're probably even going to throw wild shots with that other hand, or or most likely it's going to be wild shots. You can make them powerful, but unless you can write a letter the same way with both hands, you're not ambidextrous. Just because you can do things with both hands does not make you ambidextrous. Because I'm almost positive you can do, unless you tell me you can pitch a baseball or throw a softball or throw a football just as good with one hand as you can with another. NFL quarterbacks can't even do that. If that's the case, man, defenses would be perplexed. Or they can throw the ball running, but they can't switch up and throw the ball from their left hand. They can't, he's flushing them out to his left, and this guy fucking around and just switches the hand and throws a ball with his left hand. That doesn't happen. So stop coming to the gym and saying, I'm ambidextrous. I do things with both hands, man. He plays soccer, he's ambidextrous. That has nothing to do with boxing. I'm tired of people coming to a gym and saying their kid is ambidextrous. Oh yeah, I'm ambidextrous, coach. You can't write the same. The hand you write with is your dominant hand. This is the hand, and people don't realize this is the hand 90% of the time you use when you reach out for a doorbell, when you push buttons on the elevator, when you do stuff. You've learned to use that dominant hand. That's how, if you don't believe me, think about a baby when you determine whether or not they're right-handed or left-handed. You see them start using certain hands. Back in the day, you know why you don't have a lot of southpaws? You got to ask some old people this. It's because back in the day, they thought it was bad luck for you to be left-handed. A lot of times the people used to reach up. You got to ask some old people, especially when country, my grandfather, somebody. But people used to smack their hands and make them use their right hand. You go reach for a door, they smack that hand and make them use the right hand because they wanted them to be right-handed, because they thought that's what everybody should be. So when boxing came, when people found out, oh, he's a southpaw, he's left-handed, people was like, oh, he's tricky. Oh my God, he's this, he's that, he's this, because they didn't see too many of it. Nowadays, man, there's so many southpaws in the gym. Compared to 20 years ago when he was like, oh, he's southpaw. Okay, yeah, hold on, I need some work on finding the southpaw kid. Now, if you're going to the nationals, you better just equal it out. It ain't no, you got to watch this kid, he's a southpaw. You just got to understand and know how to fight and know what's going on when you fight. Know how to defend both ways so you can challenge whatever hand. Sometimes moving to your right, you might be successful, or moving to your left, you might be successful. But once you figure that out, then you know the direction I'm gonna move. If I've landed more combinations moving to my left, I'm gonna keep moving to my left. If I've landed more moving to my right, I'm gonna keep moving to my right. But the only way you'll be able to do this is if you learn to defend your right side and defend your left side. I can defend this, I can counterpunch with this, good. So guess what? I stop him. I can determine which way I want him to go because I can defend myself both ways. If you're still fighting a guy face to face, to me, you're just saying, F you, I'm better than you. I'll give you 100% of a chance because you got 50% of the chance of hitting me with a right hand and you got 50% of the chance of hitting me with a left hand. But I don't care because I'm better than you. If you don't bother to create angles, you're just looking at guys and saying, I'm better than you. It doesn't make a difference. And if you're not learning to exploit weakness, you're not fighting to your full potential. Best fighter alive, Floyd Mayweather, to me, and it wasn't just his elusiveness of this, it was when Floyd found a weakness, he exposed it. And he's one of the few fighters that you could say in different fights, he used different punches to be successful. Diego Corrales, that lead left hand, Diego couldn't figure out. It was just dropping him. He just couldn't. Floyd was setting it up beautifully. When he fought Miguel Cotto, that right hand, that right hook, he was whipping. When he started realizing he could hit Cotto with that, he started killing him with it. Counter uppercuts and crosses and jab nullified Pacquiao. He even had him running into so many right hands, Pacquiao stopped trying. And people said, oh, that was a boring fight, man. Floyd ain't do nothing. Yes, he did. He nullified one of the greatest offensive fighters ever, which is Manny Pacquiao. Think about it, man. Think about it, man. There's a science to this, and people are overlooking the science, but it's obvious to everybody. And I'm not trying to say, but I'm just saying, try explaining what's going on in the ring rather than just repeating it and teaching it. And that way works for some people too. But if your fighters will literally understand what you're trying to teach them, they might actually do it. And coming from a coach, I say might. Because some people have still been watching YouTube, they still watch things, and they want to fight a certain way that they're watching. And I want to become that guy. You're supposed to find you a coach that makes you the best version of yourself. The only videos you should be watching is the ones that help enhance your project. Not trying to keep adding a puzzle. I want to do this. 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 Do this. When you start doing that, you forget about the things you were good about doing, and you keep doing other stuff. And any fighter can say, I remember back in the day you used to do this. I remember back in the day you used to do that. Yeah, I remember I used to catch everybody with this. Why don't you still catching everybody with this? There is no rule that says you have to hit a guy to beat a guy. You have to hit him with a multiple amount of punches. It's a rule that says you just have to hit that guy more times than he hits you. That's how you win a fight. And if you could do that with just a jab, do it. If you can do that with just a 1-2, do it. You don't have to go in your whole toolbox to beat the average person. You just got to find the weapons that they can't defend. That's how you win a fight. One coach's opinion. I hope you understand what I'm saying. You can control that pivot foot. And it starts with being able to move both ways and be successful. So don't just hit a bag going one direction. Make your fighter hit a bag going to his power side. Keep moving to your power. Learn to get away on your power side. Learn to move to your power side. You'll see it doesn't get done that much. One coach's opinion. I'm out.